What's good, y'all? Caitlin here, aka Not the Prophet, back with another small talk. This is a little video segment I do every now and then, maybe twice a month, I think, just to kind of catch up with everybody, give some thoughts, talk about what's going on in life, and hopefully just kind of keep you guys engaged as we're all trying to navigate through this COVID season. And yeah, I think there's room for encouragement during these things, and then there's also time for just me to be transparent about how life is, because it's hell sometimes, if I'm honest. And I think nowadays we want to surround ourselves with positivity, and I'm all for that, but sometimes you just need to be real, and I think this is an opportunity to do that. So on that note, man, these past couple weeks, dude, so if you've been following my social media or the channel or both, you'll know that there really hasn't been a whole lot happening on there over the past couple weeks. I put out Ancient Foe about 3 weeks ago, which was a single. It was about, make it simple, it was basically about racism. Ancient Foe is the name I gave racism in the song. And the whole song is concerned and involved with just trying to get underneath what this thing is and what we can do about it. And what it looks like in society today. And so, man, the responses to that, I mean, both greater, I'm actually kind of liking, to an extent, I like single releases in the single driven content like format, because like for me, historically, I've always been an album person. So I've always dropped albums like every 2 years since 2012. And that's cool. And I'm still doing that even to this day. But one thing you kind of lose with albums and like album cycles is the spontaneous keeping people engaged with new content, like on a consistent, frequent basis. Cause like I said, like I would drop an album in like 2014 and then you wouldn't hear anything musical or whatever about me until 2016. And like, man, I don't even have time to get into all the stuff that happened between 2014 and 2016, but like life looked way different between those 2 years. 2014, I was a junior in high school. 2016, I was a sophomore in college. So like, you get an idea, like there's such different seasons of life. And again, with album cycles, you kind of miss a lot of that time to share what you're going through and what people can expect from you musically and just life-wise. So all that's to say, I have appreciated like the monthly kind of like the arc for me monthly has been like the release of a single, the buzz around that, and then it kind of settles down again, and then it comes back up again for the next single. And now I think we're kind of in another dry spell, and that's why I'm kind of beating around the bush, but to make the long story short, it's been kind of a rough past couple weeks, dude, since I dropped HFO. And a lot of it's not even so much like, because sometimes what I feel like Greater did this, where I released Greater, the single, and I had the music video and all that. And I put so much time and effort and energy into like promoting it, like even before the release, once it had released, promoting it then, telling people about it, sharing it with people. And what was kind of discouraging was like a lot of the response was not exactly what I expected. Like it was a lot lesser than I was hoping for. And I mean, a lot of it too was like the timing. I dropped it like right in the middle of the George Floyd situation. And I didn't know that was gonna happen, but that was unforeseen. But I think that during the time that I dropped that single, like everybody was online on Facebook talking about George Floyd and trying to get people's thoughts and sharing their aggravation, their frustration with that situation. And Greater does speak to like the trials and like the chaos of the world we're living in. But it wasn't about race, and it wasn't in response to George Floyd, because that hadn't happened when I wrote that song. So again, like that release for me was kind of a little bit discouraging, because I felt like the current events kind of stifled the potential that single had to live and really get the exposure I felt like it could have gotten. And so that kind of disappointment lasted up until the time that I started working on Ancient Foe. And then I dropped Ancient Foe, like I said, 3 weeks ago. And the response towards that one was like crazy. Like it's similar to Greater, but I feel like it was almost even more so like because people, it actually, maybe even more than Greater did, like it spoke specifically and like very clearly into the moment we find ourselves in. And for that reason, I think it really resonated with people, and it really kind of resonated with the cultural moment. And so a lot of people shared it, and I've gotten a lot of conversations that have come from it. But so here's where I want to get to, because this is kind of like what I've been trying to talk about since I started this video, the past 3 weeks. So I dropped Ancient Foe, and I felt super encouraged. I felt super liberated, because I'd never written about race that specifically before in my life. You know, I've talked about race in like little bits and parts of different songs over the past couple of years in my music, but I've never dedicated an entire song to race. And so it was a first for that. And I just found like that it was honestly like probably one of the easiest songs I've ever written, because it was just like I didn't have to find things to say. Like everything I wanted to say just kind of came out in that session of writing, and I wrote it all in one day, and on paper, and it just vocalized all the things I was feeling with regards to the George Floyd situation, with police brutality, with just the experience of being a black man in America and trying to navigate this, you know, resurgence of a call for social justice, with a magnitude now that I feel like we haven't seen in a long time. And so I finished the writing session. I really felt like I just barely cracked the surface though. And then, so between that and then I've been reading a lot. I'm reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, started it about a month ago. And between writing Ancient Foe, the response to Ancient Foe, reading Malcolm X, and just like COVID and all this, and just being at home a lot, thinking a lot, I just got this sense a couple weeks ago of just like my hypocrisy, honestly. Yeah, if I'm just being honest and confessing, like I felt like, man, you wrote this song and it's great, but like you haven't done anything for your people. And I felt like I looked at my life through a different lens. And I looked at my circles, the people I'm connected to, the friends I have, the social circles I'm a part of, my church community, the young people I hang out with. And I just realized, I didn't realize, but I peeped just the whiteness of it. And I don't mean that no, I do mean that like that. I don't care. Like like most of the people I know are Caucasian, and a lot of them, and oh man, like 2 Sundays ago, I was in this service at my church, and it's one of the few times I was able to kind of, because I usually serve on the team, but this particular Sunday I was actually able to be in the service and sit in the congregation, and I had a sense during that service, as I didn't even really worship much. I just kind of sat and just thought and looked around the auditorium at everybody and saw all those white faces. And I thought to myself, I think like everything that could have been done, they think it's been done, and they're ready to move on. And I just felt like this sense of like, really, this is real. Like the very thing you were afraid of happening is happening, and you're watching it happen in real time. Like all these people in this congregation right now are on to the next thing. And George Floyd, the reality of racial injustice and unequal opportunity, and just I could go on, but like all that stuff to them is they feel like they've done their part. It's been addressed, it's been talked about, and there's nothing more to say about it. There's nothing more to do about it. And yeah, I felt that. I felt a sense of like, once again, my experience, the life I live day to day, the things I battle with, the insecurities I struggle with as an African American in this country, they don't care. And they don't see it. They don't want to see it, and they don't see it, and they never will, because it's just too much for them. It's too hard for them, and they love ease. They love believing that America is as great as we advertise it being, but they don't want to look at it for what it really is. And so all those thoughts were kind of going through my head, and I thought to myself, yeah, and I thought to myself, this is why I've been kind of silent on social media recently, because I felt like I'm a part of that too. Like because of my inaction, my inability to get outside my comfort zone and make some changes in my life and how I do things, I'm also a part of this collective social ignorance. And I'm part of the group that is keeping racism alive in America by not admitting that it's there and not doing anything to stop it. And again, that's why I go back to hypocrisy, because you go, how you gonna go from like ancient foe, we coming for that ancient foe, but like then you come to this, you go back into this white world and you masquerade as this dude who doesn't have an issue with it. When I do, it bothers me that like I'm still, in my family, we're in this city and we're in this church and we're in these circles and we're still them. And there's not many more of us in the group. And like there's not representation, and our experiences aren't recognized for what they really are. Our stories aren't like desired to be heard. And so, yeah. I'm kind of just going off like just soapboxing right now, but like I felt all that, dude. I felt like there's this quote Malcolm X said in one of his, I think it was like a public address, and they actually used it in the Malcolm X film by Spike Lee. But he said, there can be no white unity before there is first black unity. And that's self-indictment. I looked at my circles and I said, I have very few, if any, black friends. And those black friends I have very few black friends, and that's not cool. What am I gonna do to change that? I can't be about white unity before black-white unity if I'm not about black unity. And man, I just looked over my past. I looked back at my high school years when I was this light-skinned dude who wanted so badly to be accepted, that I was willing to basically like bleach myself and my culture, acting more white, pretending to be this super, like, just, yeah. And socially distancing myself from anyone of color because I felt like that was not sophisticated or not favorable for me. And I didn't want to be seen as one of them. I had a dude on my bus back in high school who he was a super racist dude against everybody. Black, white, black, Jewish, Chinese, Asian, Hispanic. He was racist against everything. But he would always say to me, he'd say something about a black kid at school. And he'd be like, but not you, Kalen, you're one of the good ones. And I always felt so proud when he'd say that. But now I'm like, nah, I feel like, again, that's that posture, bro, that I'm talking about. Where it's like, I still have that in me today. Where I'm still like those kind of comments still make me feel proud that somebody would single me out and say, yeah, but you're not like them. But I am them. And that's what I'm saying, like, I can't walk in that anymore. But the difficult thing for me now is like, what do I do? So I've wrestled these past few weeks of just trying to figure out like, what can I do? Because I don't want to just sit and wallow in self-pity or walk through life with this animosity towards white people because their existence brings to the surface this insecurity and this reality of hypocrisy in my life, that I'm not really about the things I say I'm about, that I'm not walking beside my brothers and sisters of my ethnicity and working towards collective progression and overcoming the odds. And so I don't know, man. And then like I think even like with the church, I'm a believer, everyone who is in Christ, a new creation, we're all ambassadors of Christ Jesus. So we all have the same ability and the same capacity for leadership. And it's like, who in the black church, in the black community, in the faith of black people in Christ, who's gonna step up and lead in a time when everyone's looking for leadership? Everybody that's out there protesting is looking for somebody to lead the charge and have some sense of resolve and something outside of our own humanity to say, hey, this is why we're doing this. Because right now it's just a lot of people upset, and it's good, like, anger, fear, whatever, all of that is valid. But when it's not backed behind, some sense of like a framework of life that is not from this world, like it's gonna fade, and it's gonna be flawed, and it's gonna have issues, and it's not gonna work. And so I've been looking at all of what's been happening and just being like, man, like I want to be in that leadership. Not like I want to elect myself to whatever, but like I want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. I want to lead. I want to serve. I don't want this. I don't want every time I talk about race for God to just kind of not be a part of the conversation. Because I feel like right now, my faith, like what I do at church and what I talk about with social justice are two different worlds, and they shouldn't be, because God was always about, that's the whole point of the gospel, was God stepping in and establishing social justice in the flesh as God on earth in a way that no human being ever could and ever will to this day. So like, again, there was never a point in history when Christ or God was compartmentalizing social justice outside of the realm of his creative framework of bringing the world into a redemptive, I'm just going off. But like, yeah, you get my point. God never intended for social justice to be excluded from his will and his direction and his guidance and sovereignty. And so I'm like, man, how do I take what I read in Romans, what I read in Ephesians, what I read in 1 Corinthians, what I read in the Old Testament, Deuteronomy, Exodus, Numbers? How do I take all of this and use it in this current moment for this current issue in a way that it hasn't been used since the 60s, when like the Black church was leading the charge in social justice and preaching the gospel of Christ as it is a cure to the social ills of society and like what we're up against right now. So like, and I'm like, I think this too. If I don't do it, like who's doing this? Show me, because I really want to meet these people, man. Because like, that's another thing too. I feel like I don't even like going down this road, because I feel like I'm just, it's further isolating myself, because there are people that aren't going to do that work. Again, I'm in a white circle. I'm in a white church. They don't even get this. They don't even, to them, man, they don't get it. They don't grasp it. And I don't even know if they want to, because it's hard. It's not easy. There's a lot of things they don't know, and what they don't know, they fear. And so, again, all that's to say, I feel really at odds with it. But I know all this is good. It's good stuff. It's stuff and it's not new. Like, this isn't stuff that just came up last week. This is stuff I've been thinking about since high school. And I've just never had a moment in time where I could sit with it and just wrestle with just how confused I am through like, God, Jesus, what would you have me do in this time to represent you to this world in the middle of this chaos that we're in, when everybody's trying to move on to the next thing, get over this, get over COVID, get over the racial injustices of society without actually dealing with them. What would you do if you like were to take me and use me and I would be uninhibited by your spirit? Like, what would you have me do? And so I don't have the answer to that question yet, but like, I've just been thinking that again, so that's why I've been not on socials, bro, because I feel like a hypocrite, and I feel like I haven't done my job. I haven't served and been the hands and feet of Jesus the way that I was called to be. And I've been living in this fantasy of prosperity and freedom and joy and equality, when in reality it's very much the opposite. But I've been fooled, as many Americans have, into thinking that we're over this, but we're not. And we never will be if we don't acknowledge the fact that we're not in the middle of it. And so, man, I'm on the deep dive, bro. As uncomfortable as it is, as hard as it is, man, I'm digging deeper. I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm just, at this point, my biggest prayer has just been, God, would you like bring people alongside me who can help me and walk with me in it? Because again, I'm like, that's another discouraging thing, is like, outside of my family, there's nobody else I know who's really about this stuff. And that, especially my age, and that sucks, and it hurts. And it makes me more and more dissuaded from like spending time with people, because I'm like, I don't want to be, because like, you kind of become whatever you surround yourself with, whatever, like that peer pressure, that peer whatever, you hang out with a certain group of people, that culture rubs off on you. So if I'm hanging around white people that are ignorant and unaware of these things that I'm talking about, that's gonna continue to feed me and make me unaware and keep building the ignorance in myself towards these issues and these problems. I don't want that. I want to keep, they're there. You can't, like, you cannot look at it, but it's there. It's just like God. He's there. He's present. You can ignore him, but he's there. Atheists can ignore him, but he's there. And all people are going to have to sit before the throne and declare, or just be taken into account and have to give an account for what they did on this planet. And so, I wrestle, man. I've been wrestling with all this. It's got my mind swimming. I'm thinking about all the implications of the things I'm learning and the things I'm thinking about. And what is it? And the crazy thing now is, like, it's not just history. It's not just ideas or things from the past or like principles for life. Like it's literally how I talk to the person at work that I'm dealing with, or how I treat my coworkers, how I go to church. Like, there are very real implications for what these things are as I'm learning and what they call for me to do, what the call to action is. And a lot of it's going to be hard. And I don't know what all of it is yet, but I know it's going to be difficult. And I don't like difficult. I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. I like peace. I like just ease. I like when everyone's feeling good and there's genuine, like a general understanding and like, I can't think of the word. Just like cordiality between everybody. And like, this is not that. This is friction, because it is digging into the fabric of what this country was created to be, and what it actually is. And all of us are a part of it, and we're all affected by it. All of us have racist ideas in our minds, dude. We're all racist in some degree. I'm racist. And I've chosen, and many people won't choose this, but I've chosen to be about becoming increasingly anti-racist, because that's what God calls us to. Again, that Ephesians, bro. Ephesians 2. I don't even know how to quote it. I read it this morning though. I was just talking about, like, Christ himself is our peace, who destroyed the wall of hostility between the two groups, but to make a new one out of the two. So it's all good stuff, man. But that's honestly where I kind of want to camp. I don't really want to go any further in anything else. That's kind of, because really that's it. That's all. I mean, I've done things these past couple of weeks. I've read, I've watched movies. Like, me and my sister are going through the Marvel movies right now. Complete tangent, but like, just to give it, like, I want y'all to know I'm not just in my room being, so tortured by these, like, thoughts and these considerations and all these things I'm thinking about and trying to navigate. But like, although that's not all of what I've been dealing with, like, that's very much a lot what I've been dealing with. And again, COVID, being at home a lot, being isolated, unfortunately, not being on social media, it just kind of breeds this pensive mentality of just being consistently in deep thought about things. And this is just the thing I've been really wrestling with. And so I don't know what that means going forward. I've just been really convicted, and I feel like there's something I gotta do, and I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like all this stuff is really good. It's healthy. So we'll see, man. It's cool. But that's just, again, that's really where I wanted to camp. I haven't really talked about it to many people other than my parents as of late, and so it feels good to kind of just share it in some other form. So hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are thinking about some of these same things too. I hope I'm not the only one that's wrestling, because I am, but I know that there's fruit to come out of this time. Like, God's not, like, everything he does and allows us for a purpose, and I know that this is part of his collective good, coming to fruition. So again, I hope you guys are doing well. I know I haven't really been keeping up with many people. I've been kind of tuning out of social media recently, just to kind of do that work on my heart with God. And so again, I keep saying the same stuff, but hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are surviving and maintaining healthy rhythms through this season of COVID. It's crazy, man, and it's so unprecedented. But I know God's using it for something, and So I just pray you guys are seeing what that stuff is for you. I pray you are being enlightened, being guided, being encouraged by the Spirit, and staying connected to your people, staying vigilant, doing the work on your heart that you need to. And yeah, be praying for you guys. Please be praying for me. This is a crazy season, and yeah, there is some stuff I want to talk about next time, but we'll get to it. But yeah, again, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for checking out the single. I will be dropping it very soon, hopefully within the next month. Ancient Foe. It'll be available to stream and all that jazz very soon. So look forward to that. Other than that, that's all I got. So grateful for you guys, praying for you guys. Be blessed. Peace.